Welcome to another episode of Cooking with Unity. I'm your host, Max Moreau, and my tech, Phil Wilson, here.
Yep, some people do call me that.
Yeah, and some people don't forget his name. Anyway, so I don't know if I'll keep that in the final show or not. We'll see. So
Go for it.
what are we doing today? So I'm going to put us back on the screen. So first off, apologies for not doing the show last week. I was very sick, and I'm sorry that I didn't come back on Thursday to pick it up like I said I was going to, because my voice did not work on Thursday. So now that those apologies are out of hand, let's get to work on this dual stick shooter. So last time we got player death working. We did some minor modification on AI stuff. We have it so things blow up when they die. We got exploding bullets, although we don't really have a way of doing it as a power-up yet. It just is on at all times right now. Or selectable via Unity's stuff. And when you die, you explode really big, too.
Boom!
So, what we're going to start with today is, I'm going to start with the level thing. I talked about doing this last week, and we didn't, well, week before last episode. And we didn't do that, and so I'm going to just do that right off the bat. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the play area a little bit again. I'm going to pull our camera back even more than what we had before. I'm going to try 20 on it and see how that looks and plays real quick. Because I want to have enough room to have a lot of enemies and have some movement space. Might even be able to get away with a little bit further back.
I'd say so.
Alright, so we can see the spawn radius of the enemies now. We'll play around with how they're spawned in a bit and fix that up. What we're going to do first is kind of define a play area for the player and kind of get some static stuff set up and show how we're going to do multiple levels and stuff. So let's start by defining the play area. So I'm going to create a few more cubes. If you were doing this for your own project, you probably would be doing some modeling or 3D modeling or something to set up the boundaries of the world and make them look good. We're just going to use cubes to mock it up, like most everything that we do on the show. Where is it? So there's a trick here. If you click on a camera and you go align view to selected, it should show you exactly how you would see it in the game, or at least very close to it. So you can see that's pretty close to lined up between the game and the scene there. It's not perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect. But this allows us to block out things a little bit easier. You can also, if you find a camera angle that's really good for the game, like if you are in the scene and you find something that you like, there's a way that you can align the object to your view. So if you do align with view, and we go to game, you'll see that the view has changed to what we've just aligned it to. This is somewhat useful in some cases if you want to get a specific camera angle, or if you want to tweak something in the scene. Sometimes it's very difficult to tweak in game. There's no way to do a floating view on here unless you add a script to it. So that's just something to keep in mind. I'm just going to hit undo on this, so we should have our thing back in position, and I'm going to align views to selected. Alright, so let's stretch this out. We're just going to block out the level. Where are the tools? There we go. We just stretch this thing out a ways. Actually, I'm going to do this a little differently. X position 0. Yeah, let's move this up a little bit. Okay, arrow keys evidently move the camera.
That's awkward.
That's probably appropriate.
I'd say so.
I just don't know what I'm doing, evidently. So we're going to do that. We're going to duplicate that one. Move. Let's make it -12. This one we're just going to make 12. That's weird that it's not centered. Oh, that's because the camera's not centered. So let's do that real quick. I forgot to take the Y1 out of the camera. And we need to actually realign to the camera now. There we go. That's better.
Nice.
The reason that one was there is because the default camera starts with 1 there because it assumes a first-person game. So you're above the planes when you put the planes at 0, 0. Alright, so we've got the side walls, and we're going to do the vertical walls, which is just same thing, but different stretch. So let's stretch it out to... Actually, let's just move it. 0. So how big did we make these? 33. Let's make them 35. Whoops. No, 35. All right. Because I like round numbers.
As do I.
So we're going to put this at negative 35.5.
We're going to do a half of the scale.
No, sorry. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So half of 35.
17.5.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I work with
7.5.
half scale stuff all the time.
All right. So...
You know.
25. Duplicate that. And my computer beeps at me. Move it over. And I'm not crossing over the corners. It doesn't really matter either way. I'm doing it this way just because, really. The reason I'm thinking about it this way, even though it doesn't really matter all that much, I'm probably going to be splitting these in the middle. And actually having 2 on each side so that I can have doorways in between to do it more like Smash TV. Mm-hmm. We're just getting the game area defined though here, so we're not too worried about that right now. So now I've got a little kind of defined game area. I can walk right through those. I wonder if anything else. Okay, the bullets obey. These things probably don't obey anything.
Obey.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care about that wall.
Give anything. So let's see what we got here. We've got box colliders there. What do we have on our player? Sometimes I get there's a lot of questions I see online about how collision stuff works, and quite frankly, it's a complicated system, and there's a lot that you have to keep in mind. So, like, if we look at our dual stick shooter here. You'll notice that the way that we're moving things around is to just literally change the transform position to the desired new position. And this is great, except for the problem with this is it will mean that you will not get proper collision detection from rigid body stuff. Because you're setting the position and it doesn't care that it's interpenetrating. Our character doesn't have a rigid body collider, does he now? I think the reason we've avoided that is just because he's not really using that style of movement. So maybe we should change that so that he will actually be constrained. Let's give this a shot. So we're going to change his script around a little bit, but first we're going to put a rigid body on him. So, component, physics, rigid body. And I'm just going to go with all the defaults, although I'm going to turn gravity off. And should I put the constraints on? No, we should say is kinematic. Let's see what this does, just off the bat. I don't think it'll actually change anything, but yeah, didn't think so. Alright, so we want to constrain the movement here. So let's change his movement type. So we're going to not make him kinematic. Maybe.
Well, you could try it right now and see what happens when he's not kinematic.
Well, it's not going to do anything different. Oh. It did do something different. It made it so that he collided and died because he has set to explode if anything touches him in any way, shape, or form.
No, you touched me.
So, So yeah, first we're gonna have to change that script around too. Not a big deal. I had every intention of changing that at some point, just because there's things that you're going to want to collide with, like power-ups that will not want you to kill them, or not want to kill it. Blah 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 blah. I haven't talked in too long, so sorry about the mumbling today. So let's look at the movement stuff and see if we can get him doing this. So let's first make it so he doesn't explode on contact with everything, because that'll kind of defeat our testing. Let's see. Explode on collision, follow player. Which one is it? Explode on collision, probably. What is that what we have on the player?
That's a good question.
Player. Is this player? This player's different. Okay, we should apply this. First of all, I'm going to apply this to our prefab, and then I'm going to save the scene, because I should be saving more often than I do on this show. Now let's look at our player prefab. Alright, so explode on collision. So we have explode on a collision. Let's add a feature to this and make it so that we can make it so certain things don't cause it to explode. So probably the easiest way to set this up is to create a public collision. Is it collision something? Collision flags. I'm just going to call it collision flags with a camel case. And what this does, I'm just going to show it in the editor here first, is it adds to the editor a nifty little menu here. Collision flags none. So, wait, this is not what I wanted. Okay. Ignore this. It's not collision flags. What is it? Collision. It's not a collision anything, is it? Mask. It's a mask. It's a layer mask. That's what we want. Doesn't have collision in the name. So layer masks are a set of flags that determine how layers interact, and we've used layers before on the show here. So I'm going to call it layer mask, and I'm going to now show this to you in the editor. So layer mask, this shows us all our layers here. And you can actually check mark multiple things. So if you choose everything, it check marks everything for you. And then so if you wanted everything but water, it says mixed, and then you can check to see what it's actually selecting there. So we definitely want it to happen with enemy bullets, and we should do it with enemies themselves. And that should make it so that our character doesn't explode now when we hit the wall. Nope, we still hit the wall. Why did that happen? Oh, yeah, I didn't change anything in the script. Good reason for it to happen. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to find... Oh, is a layer mask the best way to do this? Let's see. So we're going to need to find out what the collision was. So, collision... collision. So does collision have a layer? No. This may not be the best way to do it. We might have to do it with a tag. There's got to be an easy way to do this. Hold on.
You can do it with layers.
Yeah.
It's just you have to identify the layers like by number, I believe.
You can actually avoid that with this layer mask thing.
Oh,
so,
well, that would be fantastic.
I think so. Let's see. Comparing layer mask.
The internet knows the answers.
Using a Bitwise operator with layer mask. Unity layers. Maybe there's something in the documentation here. See, usually use this for raycasting stuff, which raycast can actually take a layer mask as a function, as a variable, I guess. There's a better name for it, but it escapes me today. And you can make a layer mask. It's just a bitwise flag list, which, how am I going to explain that on this show? What it is it's basically, you know how there's bits. You know that computers are ones and zeros, just ons and offs. Bytes represent 8 bits. Usually a byte is used to represent a number from 0 to 255, and that's based on the collection of these bits. A bit mask takes that 8 bits and treats them as 8 ons or offs. That's all it is. And so when you're working at the bit level, it's just to save space. So you can represent, if you want all the layers, all of those bits are 1. If you want none of the layers, all the bits are 0. And if you want 2 of the layers, bit 5 is on and bit 7 is on, but the rest are off, things like that.
Yeah, just little light switches.
Yeah, the little light switches. And so the thing is, the nomenclature for it is confusing because most people don't work with bitwise operators. A bitwise operator means this is a shift 8 to the left is what this is. So this puts it a 1 on layer 8, I think. So hopefully we're not going to have to do that kind of stuff right now. I'm going to try to avoid it if possible. I guess, so we just need to get the layer on the collision here. So maybe collision.collider might have a layer.
Oh, it does.
Layer, no.
Let me see.
GameObject.layer. Okay, GameObject has one. So collision, you can really just do collision.GameObject.layer. Alright, so... Okay, so I'm going to have to do a bitwise operation at the very least. If collision.GameObject.layer would we just be anding it with the... My brain's not working tonight. Alright, screw it. We're doing tags.
Alright.
Public string tag valid tags equals, so we're going to make it a list of strings. For tag invalid tags, if collision tag game object tag equals tag.
Oh.
Alright, so if it equals tag, then we do this stuff. I guess we don't need a return here.
I think...
string tag invalid tags.
Would you be able to do the layer mask by using like an if collision.GameObject.layer is equal to whatever the layer mask name is?
The equal won't work there because equals would mean that it would have to equal that exact layer mask as opposed to one component of it. So it's either an or an and in this bitwise. So it would just be a single and or a single or, I think. That being said, I don't remember exactly which one, and for some reason my brain isn't working today. So
that's cool. I just had the question, so I figured that out.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, please ask questions if you have questions, and same with you folks online. Get on the IRC and ask some questions. We're watching it.
Yes, we do. Keep an eye on it.
All right. For each string tag invalid tags. There we go. That's much happier. So it does all this, and then we instantiate this thing, and then we destroy this thing. So let's see if that actually fixed our player from blowing up. Oh wait, we don't actually set our tags. So our player should be completely invulnerable right now, if things went right. All right, he is. Although he's he's a rigid body, so now I'm fighting his rigid bodiness. So let's just do freeze position.
Freeze position and rotation.
That'll work. I like to avoid that if I can, because I think kinematic is... it shouldn't be faster, but I think it is. Yeah, we'll just do freeze position, so we won't have to worry about it. So we'll just freeze the position for right now. So it doesn't kill us. So now if we go to valid tags, and let's make sure that we tagged our enemies and stuff. Enemy. Fodder enemy. Oh, it's untagged. Yeah, we don't have any tags. So we have to tag everything. What a pain. Let's just let's actually just try to do this one more time. Sorry about taking all this time on this, folks.
Could hard code the layer number as well.
Yeah, I could. I don't want to hard code anything though, like that.
Yeah,
because it's much easier to work with layers when you're not hard coding them.
Yeah.
So if GameObject.layer, let's just do the classic guess and check. Let's just do an AND with our layer mask.
Oh, that's interesting.
Valid tags. Oh yeah, and I'm just going to comment this out in case we have to run back to it screaming. Alright. Play. Alright. Int to bool. Collision.gameObject.layer is an int. The layer mask is considered a bool?
Really?
That doesn't make sense.
Well,
layer
I mean,
mask,
it is if it's bitwise, then it would either be true or false.
Mask. Struct. Oh, it equals a bool. Why does it count itself as a bool? Reference equals and equals. So for some reason this thing counts itself as a bool? That doesn't make any sense. Alright, running back to what we were doing before. I'm sure someone will correct me on it, and if they don't give me an answer, then that means no one likes my show. That's not generally how you can tell when your show's doing really bad, is when you don't get any criticism.
Oh,
wow. Alright, so let's go back to what we're doing. So valid tags, comment out layer mask again, switch this back to equals tag. And now all we have to do is actually we want this on the bottom here, otherwise we'll get some very strange behaviors. And I'm going to go ahead and at the end here return, just because if we find out that it's hit something that is valid, we don't care at that point about the rest of the tags in the valid tags. So now let's organize our stuff here. So fodder enemy should be tagged as an enemy. So we're going to add an enemy tag. We're going to add, these are layers. Oops. We're going to add an enemy tag and an enemy bullet tag. Enemy bullet, and fodder enemy is going to be enemy, and I'm going to go ahead and mark the turret as an enemy as well. And there's still a compile error somewhere. Cannot be applied. Oh, oops. Tag.
That would do it.
Yeah. Alright, so now if we... Okay, so we can still pass through the wall, so that doesn't solve that. And we can touch enemies.
No, you're just murdering all the enemies by touch.
Huh. Why didn't that work? Collision.gameObject.tag equals tag. Did I forget something on the player? I probably forgot putting tags on the player.
Oh, that would do it.
Enemy and enemy bullet. No! Alright, that worked.
Nice.
Though we still haven't fixed our problem of going through walls, so let's fix that up real quick. So what we're going to do to fix that is we're going to change the player script a little bit. Where's the player? Dual stick shooter, I guess is what I called it. That's a terrible name for it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make it so that it operates using the rigid body in such a way that's meaningful. So we're going to change this to fixed update, because it's generally good practice if you're working with physics objects to use fixed update rather than update. Fixed update is the timer on which physics is actually updated. It's a guaranteed timer. It's kind of hard to explain exactly how it works because you can lock yourself up if you do too much fixed update stuff, just because it guarantees that it will run every so often, and if it doesn't run at those times, it's going to run multiple times to catch up. And then there's actually an internal point where it just throws it all away. It's like, okay, whatever, just do something. So you don't want to do too much in fixed update if you can avoid it. On computers, it doesn't matter that much, but I'm just giving you a warning on that. But if you're working with things that are rigid bodies and you want to move them around, best to do it during the fixed update. So what we're going to do instead of transform.position and adding in our information here, we're going to do... So what is this? So this is the shoot stuff. So we only care about this little line here that moves our player. So we're going to do rigid body dot move position, and then it just wants a vector position. So all we do is we put this whole thing into here, and we remove the equals. And let's see if this works right off the bat. Oh, wait. And we add a semicolon at the end of everything. At the end of all things, add a semicolon.
Semicolon's great.
Alright, so now we can move. That's good. That's a good sign. And we can still move through things. So that didn't really solve that problem. Let's see here. Let's try... Naturally, I'm running into all the problems that everyone runs in on this stuff. But that's good. That's the whole reason I do the shows this way, is so that you guys can see the kind of stuff that you have to tweak and play around with. I just hope that I give you good answers by the end of all of it. And if I ever give you bad ones, and I find out later, I will tell you guys, just so you know. I'm on the up and up with that. But I try to give good solutions in the time provided. Dual stick shooter. So we were able to move. Let's look at our player again. Let's go ahead and turn off the freeze position stuff and see if this fixes it real quick. Just for fun. I'm going to try not to get hit so it doesn't confuse. Okay, so that totally fixed it. So that actually probably would work with us if no one actually applied an impulse to our player. The reason I say this stipulation is because if I set this to 0 again, and we just do this, what'll happen here, and it's hard for me to actually show this, but I'm going to try. If I get hit, I start moving, right? Now, when I hit W, it doesn't reset that. When I start moving the thing around, I'm still moving as if I had that velocity, because the rigid body has no idea that you have intentionally moved it around separate of the rigid body system.
And also, there's no gravity to slow it down right now.
And there's no gravity to slow it down or speed it up. And so yeah, it'll just be there. So we can get around that by just forcing it off, and we may do that. I'm going to see if kinematic works for this, though. So if we get hit on kinematic, okay, it worked. Nope, we can pass through things. So yeah, we need to do this. I am going to freeze rotation because I don't want that to mess up at any point. But if we freeze position, that will make it so that we don't properly collide with the edges here. And if we do kinematic, it's the same deal. It won't properly collide with the edges. Is there a way we can get around that? I'm going to look at the Unity collision stuff real quick. Unity collision. So this is not what I wanted. Unity Mesh Collider. There we go. It's the second thing on the list. So we're looking at a rigid body collider. Kinematic would make it... Alright. So what we can probably do, actually, is we can probably treat the level edges as rigid bodies. Component, physics, rigid body. We're going to turn off gravity. We're going to set these to kinematic. Actually, kinematic can't collide with kinematic, can it? Mm-hmm. So, and static can't collide with static. Yeah, we're going to have to do the hack. Alright, I'm going to undo that rigid body. We don't really need that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do what we did before. We're not going to freeze the position. So we still have the problem where if we get shot, it causes us to start moving, and then you have to fight that the whole time. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to set every frame, make it so that we reset that. Not the most elegant solution. I'll probably have something better for you guys next week. But what we can do here is just rigid body dot velocity equals vector 3 dot 0. Actually, we can probably get away with doing that just in the fixed update. So let's do that right at the top. So let's see what happens when we get hit now. Even though what's going to happen is it's going to kill us, so I'm just curious if it moves us around. So yeah, that's kind of what I figured it would do. It moves us one thingy. Let's see what it does when we put it in update. This will probably make it so that it doesn't show up at all, but I could be wrong. And that's why I want to find out. Sometimes I learn as much on this show as you guys do. Alright, we don't need this one. Nope, still moves it. Okay, so I might as well have it on fixed update. Actually, even better. I know the best place to put this. Void on collision enter. As opposed to something that's called every frame, let's just do it when it collides with something.
Great idea.
This may even solve that little bump thing, because I think on collision enter is called before the final. Oh no, it's called after the physics stuff. Well, at least it solves the problem, and so can't push through things anymore, and we only get moved a little bit by things, which is going to be masked entirely by our huge explosion when we die officially. So, explosion radius. No, we're just so we're going to go back to valid tags. We're set this to 2, and then do enemy and enemies enemy bullet. I'm going to apply this. I'm going to save. I'm going to hit play. There, see how easy it was to set up borders? Wow. Yeah, that only took half an episode. Alright. So, we've got some borders. Good for us. We've got these guys as prefabs, so I'm going to go ahead and delete them. Delete. Just die, please. Delete. Alright. For some reason, delete key on Mac doesn't seem to kill things. Here, maybe function delete does? No, it just beeps at me.
That's lovely.
Don't know. Does it do it in here? No, doesn't do it in there. Does it do it? No, I don't want to delete that. That would be bad. I'm sure I could find it again, but... Alright, so our enemy spawner here, spawn radius 10. I'm going to look at this script real quick because I think I want to modify it. So, right now it spawns enemies at inside unit circles normalize. Okay, so right now it spawns enemies at the edge of the circle and kind of comes in, which was a good design for when we were when we didn't really have a play area defined. But now we're going to need to spawn them in a slightly different. Oh god, that's funny. The bullets hitting the walls. Oh yeah, that's right. Our bullets aren't actually working properly. And I still managed to get some... Wait, why?
Weren't they...
Why am I moving to the right?
If you hit the wall and something hit you, it probably still is affected because it's only doing it on enter, not on stay.
We're changing that. We're changing it back.
Well, you could add to on collision stay to have that as well.
We would need an enter and on exit. I don't think we need it on stay. Why would we need it on stay?
Well, once you're already colliding with something and something else hits you, it doesn't.
It doesn't give another enter on that?
I
think it does.
It does.
It does.
Remember running into some problems with my project regarding on collision enter and stuff like that.
I'm gonna try just adding it to exit real quick and see what happens. I'm not saying that it'll work, but
it's always worth a shot.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, we learn how it works.
Yeah. So, yeah. What am I doing? That worked. So, what I realized is there's more than one thing using this explode on collision thing. And so we need to make sure that all of our things are set up to work properly with that. Which would probably be better if we were using layers for this, because we already set up things as layers and have them colliding properly with layers. Huh. I really want to change it to layers, but I don't want to learn on the show just to teach you guys. So we're gonna switch it to that on the next episode. On this episode, we're gonna focus on other stuff, and I'm not gonna worry too much about the bad behavior on things right now. We'll get that fixed up in the next step. So let's get it so that we've got a level and we can go to another level and we have things spawning in a more meaningful way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to modify this spawn script to be more useful. Right now it spawns enemies on the edge of the circle, and the way it does this is by normalizing the thing it gets from inside unit circle. Because there's no on-unit circle. There's on-unit sphere, but not on-unit circle, so this is the equivalent. But what we're going to do is I'm going to add a bool to this. Bool. Spawn from edge. So this is already our spawn from edge behavior. So if spawn from edge, and we're going to make spawn position declared up here, and we're going to set it equal to that, else spawn position equals this whole thing minus the normalized. So I'm going to show you the difference between both of these just so that we make sure that everything's working right. So we've got an enemy spawner here. It should default to... I did this. I saved it, right? Oh, I didn't make it public. Public bool spawn from edge. Wait a moment. There we go. So it's already spawned from edge, so if we hit play, it should work exactly the way they did before. So they're all kind of coming from the edge there. Now if we change this, click this off, it should make it so they can spawn anywhere within that sphere.
Yeah,
So yeah, you can see that they're
is.
coming in the middle more sometimes. Here, I'll just let it go while the player's gone, because then they won't move. So you can see that this is obviously not spawning on the edge of the circle. This is spawning within a circle.
I like the little red cubes that were flying
Yeah.
towards the screen. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I like making things explode like that, is just to get that effect. I actually had on one test, it's kind of fun. I'm surprised more games don't do this, actually. I put a collider on the camera at one point so things would actually bounce off of it.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was thinking you could also like put like a glass type thing that cracks when you hit the camera or something in a game.
That would be sweet.
Yeah. Easy stuff to do, and it's something that you don't see a whole lot, so...
Well, people don't, or game makers typically don't like to acknowledge the camera as being a physical object in the game.
Yeah, no, most games do not do that. That being said, some of the greatest ones really do. Like I love
Mario 64.
Hideo Kojima's stuff. Most of his will treat the camera in a very movie style camera, like the water pouring off the screen when you come out of watery areas and stuff. And actually, camera effects are pretty common. It's just. Yeah, like an object that has physics is rare. Although there is a game that comes to mind when I think of that. Avra for Mac had a camera that was actually a little UAV that was following behind your player.
Like Mario 64 was just like that.
It was like that, but it wasn't actually.
No,
they don't
it wasn't
actually
UAV.
render him like he's not there. But this was actually there, and you could stand on it. Like some of the advanced players would actually stand on their camera and fly around and
that's
shoot
cool.
people. Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
it was weird. It's a good little mech game.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, really great game at the time, made by Ambrosia Software, I think. Good Mac company.
That was a little bit of a tangent. But
Yeah,
tangents
it was.
are
It
fun.
happens. Games.
Games are fun.
Yes, they are. That's the reason we're doing this stuff, is games. So. Alright, so now we can spawn them in kind of the center, although that's probably not what I'm going to use here. I just was doing that so that we have it if we need it. Actually, we can just use that, so let's do that. So I'm going to make it so the enemies spawn out of the four walls. This is kind of inspired by, again, by our target is Smash TV, which I really should show a video of at some point, or insist that people search for it and look at a video. If you haven't played the game, it's an older game, but it's a good game.
Midway dual stick shooter, and plays like Robotron, but more game showy. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a really fun game.
So we can set the spawn radius to 0, and I guess it doesn't matter if it spawns from edge if it's 0 anyway. But we could set one of these up here and then kind of duplicate it and put one in each cardinal direction. I'm just doing it by look this time. So now when we hit play, you'll see that we'll get enemies kind of spawning out of the walls and going towards us.
Nice.
So these guys could come out of doors. We might open up a door or something before they spawn out, or create some patterns or something. Now, the one problem with this is because they're all going directly towards the player, it does make it very obvious that they are coming out of that single spot, so that doesn't look great. So maybe we'll make that spawn radius a little bit of a radius to fix that up. So let's make it like 2 or something. Move it in a little bit, and definitely don't spawn from edge. Here, let's see. Where is this? 9.2. Let's make it 9 even. And I'm just going to delete the other spawners for right now. And we're going to duplicate this one again. Except for we're going to use numbers. Duplicate 9. Duplicate 0. Where's a good one for this? Negative 15. And duplicate again. And put this one at 15. So let's see if that makes it a little bit less bad looking. Well, now it doesn't look like they're coming out of a door, and one of them's not spawning at all, or I moved it, or I didn't actually successfully duplicate it for some reason. Negative 15. So we've got enemies kind of coming out of that direction. Looks less line-like. We can do more to fix that at some point. I'm getting too more worried about details right now. Alright, well, we got 15 minutes left. Let's make a second level and let's get to it. So I'm going to put a hole in the side of the right side here. Normally this will only open up once we complete something, some objective, probably shooting enough guys or something. In the meantime, I'm just going to shorten this. We're just going to make it work right off the bat, and then we can make the gameplay logic work later. 17.5 doesn't seem right, does it? Oh. Yeah. Maybe 18?
Oh, 18 is going to be right at the edge, isn't it?
Yeah. It was close enough, it doesn't matter. But I'm changing it because...
The government work.
Yeah. Indeed. So, 6.5. That looks right. Although I need to make it shorter, so it's going to be smaller again. Let's make this 5. No, that's too short. 8. It looks pretty good. And then we're going to duplicate that, make it negative 8.5. And before I forget, I'm going to grab all this. Oh, I don't want to make a prefab out of it yet. Yeah, I do. We're going to make it a better prefab later, but we're just going to put all of these into an empty game object.
I salute you for going to that menu first.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess I finally got that down.
I still haven't. I don't think I'll ever break my... I'm going to say that.
It just seems like it should be in that create menu. It just doesn't make any sense that it's not there. Game object. We're going to call this arena border. So we've got an arena border. I'm going to go ahead and create a prefab out of it. And now I'm going to create a little goal area. We've done this before in other games, but I just want to reinforce how this stuff works. So we're going to create a exit. So I'm going to create a cube that we're going to remove the renderer on, and we're going to remove the mesh filter. So we're left with just a box collider. I could have just easily created an empty game object and added a box collider, but I didn't. So arena border, so cube, where are these things? Oh yeah, I forgot. 18. So let's put this cube at 18. And let's make it big enough to bridge that gap vertically. Oh god. Alright. That was scary.
Yeah, just stop for a moment.
Now we're going to make this a trigger. And what we're going to do is on the player. Actually, we can probably put it on the level border. Okay, so I'm going to call this an exit here, just so that we know what it is. And create C# script load level on trigger enter. So I'm going to put a little tag here, because we're doing tags tonight. Public string tag. So I'm going to go ahead and call it player tag. And then void equals player. I could have probably just hard-coded this, but might as well put that in there so we can change it. Mm-hmm. Void on trigger enter collider call. If call.tag equals player tag. Oh, we're going to need another thing. The level load public string level name. Application.load level name. So we're going to apply this to our exit. I'm going to save this again, and I'm going to duplicate this level. We're going to call it level 2. Actually, I'm going to change the test level to be called level 1. And I'm going to go ahead and in build settings, I'm going to add these 2 levels explicitly by dragging them in. Well, that was fascinating. I'm going to drag these back out of the prefabs. I'm going to try. I'm going to fail. Between. Thank you.
There you go.
There we go. Alright, so we've got our levels there, and then all we have to do is change it so exit actually points to level 2. And I'm going to quickly open up level 2 and edit it so that we know that it's a new level. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to add a couple of turrets to the edges of the level. Prefabs turret. 0, 0, 0. I'm just going to throw it in the walls, kind of, as a stationary type thing. I'm going to make 2 of them. If you've played Smash TV, you will recognize the positions of these things. You know exactly the enemies I'm thinking about, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Don't you? So yeah. So now, if we hit play on level 1 now, we should. Alright, so we shoot some enemies, we pretend that door is closed, and we kill enough enemies. It's like, alright, get to the next room, woo! And so we go to the next room, and we're in the next room, and look, there's turrets! Hooray for progress! Alright, well, we have a level, and then if we go to the edge of this level, it goes to level 2 again. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't. Oh, weird. I guess I duplicated it before I saved it. Perfect. That works for me.
Yeah.
We can go out here and freedom! Oh, no. Not
That's
quite.
the opposite of freedom.
Didn't quite make freedom there.
Well, I mean, maybe it's the ultimate.
Level -1 couldn't be loaded. Oh, that was the problem. Oh. They don't have any string set for the level. If I go to player, not player, if I go to the exit here, it's still set to no level name. So, yeah, we could make it loop back to 1. I'll just do that right now. Level 1. Pretty standard practice, actually, when you're developing a game to make the levels loop initially. And it gives you a better coverage test too. It's less important on Unity, but like when you're doing your own project, fastest way to find memory leaks is to unload stuff and reload it. And so if you make your levels loop, you can make it so instead of testing just 2 levels back to back, you can test 1,000. So, yeah. So I'm starting at level 2. So now we go to level 1. Sweet. We go to level 2, and that's awesome. Alright. So we got 5 minutes left in the episode. Do we have any persons that we care about in here? No. No one's in the chat. Hopefully some people are watching live. If they're not, no worries.
Watch it later.
Yeah, watch it later. It's better later anyway. Because you can pause it and play around, and you won't be interrupted by advertisements. I'm not sure exactly how that works on Justin.tv, but I'm sure it's better than it was on Ustream. But I'm sure it's still not great. Yeah, we just have this pile of enemies piling up now.
Oh, that's what they're good for. Holy moly.
I want to respawn my player right now. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that.
That's a good 5-minute thing.
If I can figure out how to unmaximize this. There we go. I guess you right-click and choose maximize. So let's just throw a player in there. Not in a bullet. Let's not do that.
That would be rather funny, though.
Just between. Thank you. Start playing. Oh my god! There's so many enemies! Yes, that's something you can do. If you don't have the ability to have another life, you can just give yourself one.
Holy
Look at all that stuff going on. It's amazing. Oh, I died again. Give me another player. Oh no, he went off with a gib. And now all the enemies are following that gib into the abyss. Oh, and he died! The turrets targeted him! Did you see that?
Awesome.
They're shooting out there into space? That's so cool. We're going to have to add layers to this game now to make it interesting.
Oh, that's kind of a good idea, actually. I like that.
Alright, there's my player. Yeah. Oh no, I'm dead again. That was so funny.
Awesome.
Emergent behavior. Oh, my CPU is just killing itself. And most of it's encoding. Alright. 3 more minutes. Well, I'm going to call it at this point, and I got my text working again, finally. I found out that there was a hidden update to Cam Twist, and I don't know why the text wasn't working before, but it's working now. So, if you guys have any questions, concerns, if you want to teach me how layer masks work, email me at pushypixels@pushypixels.com, and I'm not going to say it to you because it's right on the screen now.
Well, you can say it too.
Well, I'm not. Well, I said it, but I'm not going to spell it out for you. You can freeze frame on this if it's not long enough. And then also Proton Pulse. If you like the show, support me by buying or downloading the free version of Proton Pulse. Free version for Android is still in progress, and again, I apologize about that. I just have been very busy, and I'm behind now because I was sick last week. Behind in everything, not just this show. And so yeah, anyway, that's it. You guys have a great night, and I'll see you next week.
Have a good night.
Good night, Phil.
Good night, Matt.